Right to go live? Yep, we're going live there now. So welcome councillors, Chief Executive Officer, General Managers, Executive Staff and those watching on the live stream to this ordinary meeting of Council, dated the 30th of June 2020. There is obviously no apologies for today's meeting. I'll go straight into acknowledgements, and first of all, as a council and as a community, we certainly acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we meet here today, and the elders both past, present and emerging. We also acknowledge those Australians that have paid the ultimate sacrifice in service to this great nation, and also their families as well, who have suffered as well. The first item today is the confirmation of the minutes, and I now move that the minutes of the ordinary meeting for Council held on the 26th of May be taken as read and confirmed. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder is Councillor McPhee. All those in favour? Those against? No, so moved. I now invite councillors to declare any conflict of interest and or material personal interest in any items to be discussed at today's meeting. I have a note here from Councillor Honour. Yep. Councillor Honour.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll be declaring a possible material personal interest in items T11 and items T12. Pursuant to section 175C of the Local Government Act 2009, I wish to inform the meeting that I have a material personal interest in the matters.
So I'll just, through Council, I'll just get you to address each one individually as per normal.
In the matter T11?
T11, yes, please, Councillor.
The name of the entity is Coach Trail Investments Pty Limited, of which I am a director. It's our personal company. In the event that there's some change in my material change of use development, it is not completed yet, it hasn't begun. I wish to leave the meeting and stay away while it is being voted on.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor has indicated what he'll be doing in relation to item T11 in relation to any conflict of interest, and stated that he'll be leaving the room, so there is no need to vote on that matter. Next item for Councillor Honour, as you mentioned, is item T12.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Pursuant to section 175C of the Local Government Act 2009, I wish to inform the meeting that I have a possible material personal interest in the matter to be discussed. The name of the entity is Coach Trail Investments Pty Limited. It is my personal company of which I'm a director, and the material change of use development has not been completed. And in the case that some of the information that's been discussed today may affect the outcomes of that development, I would like to leave the meeting and stay away while the voting is being conducted.
Thank you, Councillor Honour. As per item T12, Councillor Honour has indicated in his declaration of material personal interest, a conflict of interest, that he'll be leaving the room, and there is no need to vote in relation to that matter. I've got Councillor B.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Pursuant to section 175E of the Local Government Act 2009, I wish to inform the meeting that I have a real conflict of interest in item S1. The nature of the conflict of interest is that my businesses, Halalicious Delicious and Bert's Restaurant, have financial memberships with Bundaberg Tourism. Having stated this conflict of interest, I'm going to leave the room and not vote on the matter.
Thank you, Councillor McPhee. As Councillor McPhee has identified the declaration of material personal interest or conflict of interest in relation to item S1, and indicated that she'll be leaving the room, that there is no need to vote in relation to that matter. Thank you, Councillor. Next, Councillor Barnes.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Mr Mayor, pursuant to section 175E of the Local Government Act 2009, I wish to inform the meeting that I may have a perceived conflict of interest in this item. The nature of the conflict of interest is twofold. Firstly, that for a period of about 5 years, the applicant gave me complimentary access to the concourse of the shopping centre to conduct a community consultation desk and also a Justice of the Peace desk, and that gift, if you like, was then terminated about 2-3 years ago. The other is that I have very close friends who live within 120 metres of the proposed development, and even though they haven't indicated any objection to it, I think that in the interest of transparency that I should leave the meeting when this matter is discussed and voted on.
Thank you, Councillor Barnes. Councillor Barnes has indicated item C, declaration of material personal interest and conflicts of interest, that in relation to item L2, he'll be leaving the room. As Councillor Barnes indicated, he's leaving the room. There is no need to vote on the matter. The next item is Councillor Haberman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Pursuant to section 175E of the Local Government Act 2009, I wish to inform the meeting that I may have a perceived conflict of interest in regard to item 01. The nature of the conflict is that I am a member of the Rotary Club of Bundaberg Sunrise, not the Rotary clubs which are listed there, East West, which is, as of tomorrow, will become Central. Having stated this conflict, I believe I can participate and vote on the matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Haberman. Now, under pursuant sections of the Local Government Act and pursuant to section 175E of the Act, Council has been informed of a real or perceived conflict of interest, and Councillor Haberman has not voluntarily left the meeting. The other councillors must now decide whether Councillor Haberman has a real or perceived conflict of interest. Can I have a show of hands for those councillors who determine there is a conflict of interest? No. Now that that has been decided, Councillor, can I have a show of hands? So let's go for councillors determined that that Councillor Haberman must stay. Actually, no, we've got in relation to conflict. I have to vote whether he actually stays in the meeting. Now the councillors must determine whether Councillor Haberman must leave the meeting and stay away while the matter is voted on, or whether Councillor Haberman may participate in the meeting involving voting on the matter. So can I have a show of hands of council to determine that Councillor Haberman may participate in the meeting involving voting on the matter? Those for? Those against? No. So moved. Now, that's in relation to item 01. I'll just go around the room. If there's any other councillors through the agenda has any matters of personal interest or conflict of interest. If I just go down, Greg, Councillor Barnes, you've got any more? Councillor B, Councillor Honour, Councillor Trevor, Councillor Patel, Councillor Learmont, Councillor Mitchell, Councillor Cooper, Councillor Haberman, Councillor McLaughlin, and Councillor Dempsey is no. Now we go to the organisational services, and the next two items are in the organisational services section. It's item F1, it's the financial summary as of the 29th of May 2020, and I call Councillor Cooper.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor, and the recommendation is that the financial summary as at the 29th of May 2020 be noted by the Council.
Thank you, Councillor Cooper. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder, Councillor Trevor. Councillor Cooper, wish to speak further in relation to the motion?
Yes, Mr Mayor, in accordance with section 204 of the Local Government Regulation 2012, a financial report must be presented to the Council on a monthly basis. The attached financial report contains a financial summary and the associated commentary as at the 29th of the 20th, 2020.
Thanks, Councillor Cooper. Any councillor wish to raise any queries or speak against the motion? No. All those in favour? Those against? No, so moved. Next item of business is item G2, Council Policy Review. Councillor Cooper.
Yes, thanks again, Mr Mayor. The council rescinds the following policies, and I will refer to the screen for the rescinded policies, and then I will go on to part 2, which is to adopt the following policies. 1, the Alcohol and Drug Policy version 2, the Arts and Cultural Services Funding and Sponsorship Policy version 2, the Asset Management Policy version 2, the Burial and Private Property Policy version 2, the Cemeteries Management Policy version 2, the Commonwealth Commemorative Plaque and Memorial Policy version 2, the Community Grant Policy version 2, the Eat Safe Bundaberg Regional Policy version 2, the Environmental Policy version 2, the Exhibition Policy version 2, the Internal Audit Policy version 2, the Record Keeping Policy version 3, and the Water Leak Relief Policy version 2. 3, endorse the following policies: Community Housing Rent Policy version 1, the Commemorative Neutrality Compliant Policy version 1, the Entertainment and Hospitality Policy version 1, the Equal Employment Opportunity Policy version 1, the Non-Current Assets Recognition Policy version 1, the Related Party Disclosures Policy version 1, and the Trade Waste Policy version 1.
Thank you, Councillor Cooper. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder is Councillor Honour. Councillor Cooper, we speak further in relation to the motion.
Mr Mayor, it's pretty straightforward.
Any council wish to raise any queries or speak against the motion? No. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. Next item is from the Waste and Wastewater section, item J1. I call Councillor Bartel.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move the following recommendation. Pursuant to section 40 of the Plumbing and Drainage Regulation 2019, Council declare not to deal with any applications relating to permits for work to be carried out as fast-track applications.
Thank you, Councillor Bartel. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder, Councillor Cooper. Councillor Bartel, does we speak further in relation to the motion?
Yes, Mr Mayor, thank you. The Queensland Plumbing and Drainage Act 2018 allows for 2 streams of applications. 1, fast-track applications, with approval timeframes reduced from 5 to 2 business days, available for most new residential dwellings, sheds and domestic outbuildings Class 1A and Class 10A buildings. The second type of application is standard applications, with approval timeframe of 10 business days, available for all other types of buildings, including multi-unit residential and commercial buildings, Class 2 to 9 buildings. Throughout 2019 and 2020, Water Services has been focusing on corporate value of customer focus through defining and then implementing streamlined processes. Within the plumbing and compliance team, there has been thorough use of digital workflows allowing for online applications, online payments and online bookings, flowing into digital access of all forms and data for the inspector while in the field. These processes have been progressively implemented since March 2020. It is anticipated that new processes will allow for further reduction in the timing for the determination of applications, as well as timely and effective inspections without needing to have fast-track applications. The attached graph shows the performance throughout the current financial year, where average approval timeframe sits at around 4.5 business days. Staff are to be congratulated for delivering the service in that short timeframe. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bartel. Does any other council wish to raise any queries or speak against the motion? No. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. The next 2 items are in the Planning and Development section. Item L1 is the material change of use for rooming accommodation and short-term accommodation at Morgan Way and Georgius Terrace, Kalki. So I now move that application 522.2019.129.1 be approved with conditions as per the officer's recommendation in the meeting agenda. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder is Councillor Haberman. I now ask through you, Mr. CEO, or if you want to defer to Mr. Michael Eldry from the planning section who wish to speak in relation to this matter.
I'm happy to provide a précis, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
The proposal before council consists of 50 single-storey units made up of 26 by 2 bedroom units for workers' accommodation and 24 3-bedroom units for students. Communal facilities are proposed and gated access to the development will be from both streets. A buffer to the adjoining agricultural land to the northwest is also provided. The application is impact accessible and hence was assessed against the whole of the Bundaberg Regional Council planning scheme. Key issues considered in the assessment of the application included the density of the development and the scale of the built form and how it fits within the intended character of the surrounding area, traffic generation and the provision of on-site parking, potential for impacts on the amenity of nearby residents. The application underwent public notification from September to October 2019. 57 objections to the development were received, of which 42 were properly made. The matters raised in those submissions, which largely aligned with the key issues identified by council officers, are detailed in the report, as are the officers' comments about how those matters were considered in the assessment process. In summary, council officers have found that with changes, the proposal on balance achieves compliance with the applicable assessment benchmarks, subject to the imposition of conditions. Key conditions that form part of the recommendation include the requirement to remove 2 proposed units on the northern boundary, provision of a minibus service to reduce car parking demand within the site, dedication of a future road link to the northwest boundary, and provision of appropriate landscaping to improve the visual appearance of the site.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Does any other council wish to raise any queries or speak against the motion? No. I'll now put the matter to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. Next item of business is item L2. Councillor Barnes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillors, for the aforementioned reasons, I'll be leaving the meeting as I believe that I may have a perceived conflict of interest in this item.
Thank you, Councillor Barnes. Item L2 is the material change of use for hotel, tavern and shop being bottle shop on 699 and 707 Bagara Road, Bagara. So I now move that application 522.20220.185.1 be approved with conditions as per the officer's recommendations in the meeting agenda. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder is Councillor Honour. Mr. CEO, I'll just ask if you'd wish to give a précis in relation to the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The proposed tavern located on the Bagara Central Shopping Centre site has a floor area of 800 square metres, comprising of a sports bar, bistro, gaming area, kitchen and amenities, and a 200 square metre covered outdoor beer garden facing Bagara Road. The proposed bottle shop has a floor area of 400 square metres and includes a drive-through component. Proposed hours of operation for the tavern are 9 AM to 1 AM and for the bottle shop are 9 AM to 10 PM. The 2 buildings and 19 additional car parking spaces are to be built over the existing detention basin at the Bagara Road frontage of the site using suspended slab construction. The application is code accessible and triggers referral to the State Assessment and Referral Agency, SARA, as the site fronts the state controlled road. Key matters considered during the assessment of the application included consistency of the use with the intent of the district centre zone, building and urban design considerations, including visual presentation to the main entry road into Bagara, the potential for environmental impacts, including the effect of light on nesting turtles and noise on nearby residential properties, impacts on stormwater drainage management and provision of car parking. In summary, council officers have assessed the application as generally being compliant with the applicable assessment benchmarks and recommend approval subject to conditions. Key conditions in the recommendation include the need to fit dark sky compliant lighting, provision of an amended acoustic report and implementation of its accepted recommendations.
Thank you, Mr. CEO. Does any other councillors wish to raise any queries or speak against the motion? No. I'll now put the matter to the vote of
If
Councillor
I could
Minor.
just ask a question, please, in regards
So you asked a
to,
query? Yeah.
in regards to light spillage from the new development. Has it been assessed its impact on existing residents there? And I note that you do have a lighting, darkened lighting for turtles, but for the existing housing that's there. Can you give me a comment on that, please?
Yeah, through, just before doing that, as per in the report, just before asking the CEO to give a process in relation to the question, it has been addressed extensively in the report, but I'll go to you, Mr. CEO.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know certainly noise was a consideration, particularly for adjoining residents at the hours of operation. But I'll ask, if I can, Michael to make a comment about the actual lighting and its impact on adjoining residences.
Council, through the Chair, the system has included a consideration of all potential of any impacts. I draw your attention to condition 13 of the recommendation, which requires external lighting to be designed and installed to ensure that it does not cause a nuisance to nearby residents.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Minor. Any additional query? No. Any other queries in relation to the matter of Councillor Hamilton?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. Just a query in regard to the noise. It's clause 18, submit to assessment manager certification of suitably qualified person confirming the recommendations of the approved acoustics report have been complied with. I note that there's a beer garden in part of that, so that report will it adequately address any noise emanating from that beer garden?
Thank you, Councillor Haveman. What I'll do is get it addressed as per the conditions that are put in the report. But happy through you, Mr. CEO, if you want to seek clarification from.
Yeah, I don't pretend to be an expert on acoustic reports, Michael.
No,
Let's handle that one.
Again, to Council through the Chair, the conditions 16 through to 18 effectively build a regime that the development needs to achieve compliance with the relevant noise standards set by state legislation through the Environment Protection Act. Ultimately, the purpose of submitting an amended acoustic report in Condition 17 is that at the material change use stage, not all noise sources are known, such as the exact location of plant and equipment, for example. But once the project advances to a point, then the applicant will be required to submit an acoustic report that will demonstrate how those noise sources, including patrons in the beer garden, will be addressed and how they intend to achieve the legislative requirements. And then in Condition 18, for those technical matters that don't require an ongoing operational issue, will need to be certified by an acoustic expert. So, the report will form the basis for the ongoing management of noise from this development.
Any further questions?
No, it's great, thank you.
That's it. So any other queries in relation to this matter? No? All those in favour? Those against? So moved. Before continuing on, I'll just get Councillor Barnes back to the room. Thanks, Councillor Barnes. The next three items are in the Community and Cultural Services section. The first item is 01. Councillor McPhee. Oh, sorry.
Is it?
Oh, you've got the conflict. That's right, Jim.
No.
Yeah, so it's, the matter's already been
Yeah.
resolved and voted on.
Thank you.
Councillor Hammond, so over to you, Councillor McPhee.
So I'm moving the motion.
Correct.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move that council firstly authorise the CEO to enter into a deed of assignment to reflect, this is what, this, on the right side.
Yes.
Yes, I'll just start again. I'd like to move that council firstly authorise the Chief Executive Officer to enter into a deed of assignment to reflect the change of Bundaberg East Rotary Club to the Bundaberg Central Rotary Club, and secondly, agree to the request to change the current revenue split in the present deed of agreement from a 50-50 split to a 60-40 split in the favour of the Bundaberg Central Rotary Club. And lastly, authorise the CEO to enter into a deed of variation to reflect the change in revenue split.
Thank you, Councillor McPhee. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder is Councillor Cooper. Councillor McPhee, do you wish to speak further in relation to the motion?
No.
Thanks, Councillor McPhee. Does any other councillor wish to raise any queries or speak against the motion? No. All those in favour? Those against? No. So moved. The next item of business is 02. It's in relation to the community development strategy. I call Councillor McPhee.
I would like to move that the community development strategy be adopted and released to the community as the community development strategy for 2020 to 2023.
Thank you, Councillor McPhee. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder is Councillor Honour. If Councillor McPhee wishes to speak further in relation to the motion.
Oh, yes, please.
Thanks, Councillor McPhee.
Our previous social development action plan expired in 2017. The council engaged consultant Sparrow Group to complete consultation with the community across the region via face-to-face and group sessions. Priority outcomes were identified along with the action plan, and the community development strategy was developed. The strategy outlines Bundaberg Regional Council's commitment to priorities for the community development in the region. This strategy will help to positively shape the future, building on existing community strengths, helping to bring together services and people to look at solutions to local challenges and make the most of opportunities available in our region. This strategy builds from a solid foundation and is focused on delivering a grassroots, community-led and place-activated approach to community development. In some cases, the community needs are predictable based on factors such as growing population, but in other instances, they are unpredictable. This strategy provides the framework to be responsive to both the unpredictable and the predictable, and it is practical and measurable.
Thank you, Councillor McPhee. Does any other council wish to raise any queries or speak against the motion? No. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. The next item is item 03, sole supply arrangements with Surf Lifesaving Queensland. I call Councillor Happer.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. I'd like to move that council enter into an agreement with Surf Lifesaving Queensland, ABN number 27360485381, for the provision of lifeguard services and public safety initiatives, without first inviting written quotes pursuant to section 235A of the Local Government Regulation 2012, and this arrangement be made to the 30th of June 2023.
Thank you, Councillor Happer. Can I have a seconder for that? The seconder, Councillor Bartels. Councillor Happer, speak further in relation to the motion.
Thanks, Mr Mayor. So, council background, this one is Council Park Sports and Cultural Areas Branch is seeking to implement a sole supply arrangement with Surf Lifesaving Queensland of South Brisbane for the provision of lifeguard services and public safety initiatives without first inviting written quotes or tenders pursuant to section 235A of the Local Government Regulation 2012. Local Government resolves it is satisfied that there is only one supplier who is reasonably available, and due to the specialised nature of services that are sought, Council has utilised Surf Lifesaving Queensland for lifeguard services and public safety initiatives continually for approximately 32 years. This latest agreement is for the period June 2020 to June 2023. The lifeguard service is provided at 5 main beaches. The agreement also covers a roving lifeguard in a vehicle, jet ski patrols and a lifeguard supervisor. Annual cost to Council for 2021 is $443,405.34, excluding GST. There are annual increases associated with wage increases. The aim of the lifeguard service contract is to prevent injury and deaths in our public waters and enhance the reputation of Bundaberg Regional Council as one of the Queensland's safe premier residential, tourist and recreation precincts. The service also aims to provide the public with a safe and enjoyable beach experience and to ensure all surf lifeguard personnel are appropriately trained and qualified, and that all lifeguard services provided are cost effective, comply with widely accepted service industry standards and best practice, and are within all relevant requirements prescribed by legislation, regulations and local laws. Surf Lifesaving Queensland has developed a total service principle, providing the most efficient and effective service to the community. This is achieved through the coordinated delivery of professional aquatics safety services, lifeguard patrols, life-saving operations support services, community education, liaison with stakeholders, research and development programs. And Surf Lifesaving Queensland has a lengthy history and reputation, so I will move that recommendation.
Thank you, Councillor Haberman. Any other councillors wish to raise any queries or speak against the motion? No. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. The next item of business is in the tourism regional growth area, and it is item S1. S1, Councillor McPhee. Yep. Thank you. As Councillor McPhee has left the meeting, I'll progress with item S1. It's Bundaberg Regional Council and Bundaberg Tourism Partnership Agreement from the 1st of July 2020 to the 30th of June 2024. So I now move that Council enter into a tourism partnership agreement with Bundaberg Region Limited for the provision of services as the regional tourism organisation and for delivery of visitor services for the period of the 1st of July 2020 to the 30th of June 2024 for $550,000 plus $50,000 for project-specific contingency funding, and that is each year excluding GST. And point 2, the Chief Executive Officer be authorised to sign the Tourism Partnership Agreement. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder is Councillor Haberman, and I'll go straight to any other councillors wish to raise any queries or speak against the motion. No? I'll put the matter to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. I'll just, if we can cancel the feedback to the room. Thanks, Councillor. The next 13 items are confidential in nature pursuant to section 275 of the Local Government Regulations 2012. These be items T1, T2, T3, T4, T5, T6, T7, T8, T9, T10, T11, T12 and T13. And I now move that the meeting be closed to the public pursuant to section 275 of the Local Government Regulation 2012 to discuss the confidential items. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder is Councillor Trevor. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. I now ask those in the gallery to please leave the meeting room, and I will invite you back in a short time.
Mate, are you left-handed? Just watching everyone put some put their right hand up, some put their left. I'm left-handed, either one.
No.
That's good. Back to live streaming. Yeah, will do. So now that we've come out of confidential, I'll address items T1 to items T30. Item T1 is the deed of variation material recovery facility, and I now move that. One, council agreed to vary the management deed with Impact Community Services to operation of the material recovery facility as follows. A, reflect a 50-50 sharing of expenses for the processing of freight and the revenue from sales with regard to paper commons, and Part B, the variation will take effect from the 1st of July 2020, and 2, the Chief Executive Officer be authorised to enter into deed of variation to reflect the above. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder is Councillor McLaughlin. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. Next item T2 is a lease AK on SP 123062 on lot 35 on SP 254546 General Aviation Hangar, Rutledge and Wally as trustees. I now move that. Council apply the exception contained in section 236 brackets 1 brackets C brackets III of the Local Government Regulation 2012, and Part 2 is the Chief Executive Officer be authorised to enter into a 5-year lease with 1 5-year option to Leslie Ivan Rutledge and Gail Ann Rutledge, Gregory Ray Wally and Deborah Ann Wally as trustees for the Wally Superannuation Fund for Aviation Hangar Lease AK on SP 123062 in lot 35 on SP 254546 at Bundaberg Regional Airport. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder is Councillor Barnes. I'll now put that matter to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. Item T3 is the lease CC on SP 153323 on lot 35 on SP 254546 General Aviation Hangar, Kilsby. I now move that Part 1, Council apply the exception contained in section 236 of 1 brackets C brackets III brackets of the Local Government Regulation 2012, and 2, the Chief Executive Officer be authorised to enter into a 5-year lease with 1 5-year option to William Henry Giesel and Michael Kilsby and Julie Kilsby for Aviation Hangar Lease CC on SP 153323 in lot 35 on SP 254546 at Bundaberg Regional Airport. Can I have a seconder, please? It's seconder Councillor Barnes. I'll now put that to the vote. All in favour? Those against? So moved. Next item is item T4. It's a lease of the ISIS Community Preschool and Kindergarten Association. So I now move that 1, Council apply the exception contained in section 236 1 brackets B brackets II brackets of the Local Government Regulation 2012, and 2, the Chief Executive Officer be authorised to enter into a 14-year lease to ISIS Community Preschool and Kindergarten Association Incorporated ABN number 840921135596 for Lot 2 on SP 217902 at 16 Pizzy Street, Childers. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder is Councillor Honour. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. Next item is item T5. It's a lease of the Bundaberg Croquet Club Incorporated. And I now move that Council apply the exception contained in section 236 brackets 1, brackets B, brackets II of the Local Government Regulation 2012, and 2, the Chief Executive Officer be authorised to enter into a 10-year lease to the Bundaberg Croquet Club Incorporated for part of the land at Lot 122 on SB 215484 at 29 Key Street, Bundaberg West. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder is Councillor Haberman. All those in favour? Those against? No. So moved. Item T6 is the lease of 2 Maryborough Street to Bundaberg Regional Council. I now move that Council accepts the tenant's offer to terminate the lease earlier on the condition that the bond is to be retained by Council immediately. The termination date of the lease, including the removal of the tenant's possessions, is the 30th of September 2020. And 2, write off the unpaid rent in the amount of $10,429.32 and any applicable interest. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder is Councillor Cooper. I'll now put the matter to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? So moved unanimously. The next item is item 7, it's the sale of 20 Kincoona Street, Woodgate. The recommendation that I now move is that the exception contained in section 236 1 brackets A brackets I brackets of the Local Government Regulation 2012 Queensland be applied to the disposal of lot 37 on SP 205671, and the Chief Executive Officer be authorised to enter into contract the sale with the buyer and attend to all items required to finalise the sale of the property. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder is Councillor Honor. I'll now put that to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. Next item is item T8, sale of 22 Wallam Street, Woodgate. I now move the recommendation that Council resolves that the exception contained in section 236 1 brackets A brackets I brackets of the Local Government Regulation 2012 be applied to the disposal of lot 11 on SP 205671, and the Chief Executive Officer be authorised to enter into a contract to sale with the buyer and attend to all items required to finalise the sale of the property. Seconder. Seconder, please. Second is Councillor McPhee. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. Next item is item T9. It's a sale of 4 Wallam Street, Woodgate. And I now, as per the recommendation, move that Council resolves that the exception contained in section 236 1 brackets A brackets I brackets of the Local Government Regulation 2012 be applied to the disposal of lot 2 on SP 205671, and the Chief Executive Officer be authorised to enter into a contract to sale with the buyer and attend to all items required to finalise the sale of the property. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder, Councillor Trevor. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. Next item is item T10. It's the sole supply arrangements in relation to Snap Send Solve. And I now move that Council A, Council enter into an arrangement with Snap Send Solve Proprietary Limited for the provision of Snap Send Solve without first inviting written quotes pursuant to section 235A of the Local Government Regulation 2012 and Part B. This arrangement will be made for a period of 3 years, being 1 + 1 + 1 basis. Commencing on the 1st of August 2020 to the 30th of July 2023. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder is Councillor Mitchell. I'll now put the item to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. Next item is T11 and Councillor Honor. Yep.
Yeah, Mr Mayor, I seek permission to leave the room on the grounds of what was put forward at the start of the meeting.
Yeah, and just for convenience, Councillor Honor, is the next item is T12. You've done the complex independently.
I wish to leave the meeting in relation to T12 as well, please.
Yep. Thank you, Councillor Honor. Item T11 is charges resolution. So I now move the recommendation that A, Bundaberg Regional Council charges resolution number 1 in brackets 2020 is adopted by Council pursuant to section 113 of the Planning Act 2016 to take effect on the 1st of July 2020. Part B, Bundaberg Regional Council adopted infrastructure charges resolution number 1 in brackets 2018 is replaced and will cease to have effect on the 1st of July 2020. And Part C, the Chief Executive Officer or his nominated delegate be authorised to enter into an infrastructure agreement that allows for the recalculation on infrastructure charge levy prior to the 1st of July 2022 in accordance with the new charges resolution where that charge is unpaid but not overdue. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder is Councillor McPhee. I'll now put the matter to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. Our next item I move to is item 12, and I take into account, as previously stated by Councillor Honour, that he has left the room. And I now move the recommendation for T12, the Council A, adopt the Building Bundaberg Region 2020 Infrastructure Charges Incentives Scheme as outlined in the rules and regulations detailed in attachment 2 to this report. Part B, agree to not charge the application fee for extension applications made pursuant to section 86 of the Planning Act 2016 for any developments that are due to lapse during the 2020-21 financial year. And Part C, agree to not apply the automatic increase provision to any unpaid infrastructure charges during the period of the 2020-21 financial year. Can I have a seconder, please? Seconder, Councillor Bartel. So all those in favour? Those against? So moved. I'll just ask Councillor Honour to return to the room. Thanks, Councillor Honour. The item is T13, the 100 gig Bundaberg initiative. I now move the recommendation that Council authorises the Chief Executive Officer to execute a Memorandum of Understanding between Bundaberg Regional Council and QCN Fibre, which acknowledges the mutual commitment and collaboration to leverage the QCN Fibre network in the Bundaberg region. Can I have a seconder, please? The seconder is Councillor Honour. I'll now put the matter to the vote. All those in favour? Those against? So moved. Conclusion of today's meeting, and prior to do that, I just want to thank everybody for their participation today, both in the budget meeting and today's general meeting. It certainly is times ahead involving COVID-19. We know the state is still in a disaster readiness of stand-up, which is the high level, and whilst people get on with their normal days of life and business, the budget certainly presented today is a responsible budget in difficult times, and I thank everyone for the concise effort and work put into this, particularly the staff over many months to get a more secure future for our Bundaberg region going forward and not having to take on loans to get us into that position. The over $5 million that we are taking into account as a deficit is only through the hard work of many years to be able to have us in a cash position to be able to absorb that deficit going forward with as low impact as we can to the overall ratepayers, while still taking into account the comments from councillors here today. So that brings to conclusion the business of today's meeting. The next ordinary meeting is due to be held on the 28th of July 2020 in the council chambers. I now close the meeting at 10:55 a.m. and thank you for your attendance here today. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.